Hello and welcome to the Tiny Human Knits podcast. My name is Laura and I'm coming to you from Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, where I live with my boyfriend, our dog, our cat, and our rabbit. You can find me online as Tiny Human Knits on Instagram, Ravelry, Etsy, and YouTube, and I will have all of my links to all my social medias and everything I talk about in the description box below. Gus is very distracted because the weather is weathering very much right now. Gus, you good? He also got a little wound up because I ordered a new phone and I just received it about a minute ago and he's all worried that the Purolator man is going to come back. Anyways, so yeah, if the lighting isn't fantastic today, it is because it is blizzarding like crazy right now. It should be bright enough, but it is very gloomy weather today. But I will move right into things and stuff. Right on the top of the episode, I am going to say I had originally planned to do my next shop update with my potatoes colorway on the 7th of April, but I have moved it up to tomorrow, which is the 31st of March at 1 p.m. Atlantic Daylight Savings Time, I believe. I would just, if you've never ordered from my shop before, you don't know the time difference, just Google what time it is in New Brunswick. And so yeah, it's going to be at 1 p.m. And I'm moving it up just because I'm ready for it and I don't want to have just a bunch of stuff sitting around waiting for me or waiting for time. And I've got a bunch of other stuff I need to do. And also not this weekend, but next weekend's Easter. So the post office was going to be closed and all of that other stuff. So this just works out easier for me. And I did post about it a few days ago. So it's not as if it's coming out completely left field. Anyway, just going to say that right at the top, but I will move right in to all of my knit stuff. I have knitting and I have a few other things because I've just been doing the most random stuff lately and it's kind of working out. It's kind of weird. That's all right. But I am wearing my Field Day cardigan by Ozetta, which I absolutely adore and I wear all the time. I won't go into too much detail because I've talked about it many, many times. That's it. Anyway, so I have two finished objects to share with you today, and they are, first off, I finished the Musselburgh hat for my boyfriend Jason, and I knit this out of Yarning Apart yarn. It's a DK weight, and it's in their Rust Spots colorway, which I've had in my stash for years and years. I'm finally getting around to using it. So I only do the Musselburgh hats. I've figured out that, and in a backwards way, from knitting one for my nephew Axton, who is only going to be 2 in May, I really liked the way that the Musselburgh fits when you don't have the folded over cuff thing. When you don't fold it over again once you're wearing it, I just like it with the smooth one fold situation. So I knit mine. If you're unaware, the Musselburgh is a pattern by Ysolda Teague that you knit from end to end into just this tube thing. And my total finished measurement is 17 inches from end to end, and I find that fits really, really well. And I just really like the way that fits. And this used exactly one skein entirely. I had the tiniest bit of yarn left over. Like, I was really worried going into the last few decreases that I would run out of yarn, but I had just enough, and now Jason can wear this and he will be pleased. I have 2 balls of this left over. I had 3 in total. So he actually asked for a matching sort of cowl, just a tube, a double thickness tube that he can just pull over his head and that fits next to his neck. So I'm going to be doing, I think, pretty much casting on the same amount of stitches as the full, like, middle section of this, maybe a few more, and then probably doing that with provisional cast on, and then just knitting a tube for quite a while, and then just joining them to be one big loop. And I think that'll work out really well because I have enough of it. And then I might even do a pair of, like, fingerless mitts to match because I'll have some left over, and hopefully that'll use up most of this yarn. But I'm really happy with that, and he'll be thrilled to wear it because he's very excited for it. He's tried it on a couple times and he keeps getting all sad that he can't wear it right now. Anyway, that's enough of that one. My next one is my finished Gartrell crew, and that is a pattern by Tanis Lavely, which I have knit before, and I showed this on my last episode, and I used the same colors that are in my potatoes colorway, the 6 different colors that I dyed on a single like DK tweed yarn individually, and here it is. This pattern is so fantastic. It fits so well, and it's such a good way to use up. Like, I've got a few, I'm probably going to be making more of these, and I have some where I have like really like oddments amounts of DK, or even fingering, and I think fingering and mohair held together would work really well. So honestly, I've got so much random mohair, it would be kind of cool to use a single strand of a base color and then just striping your mohairs would be really cool with this. But yeah, I knit the 40-inch chest circumference size, and what can I say about this? This pattern is so easy. It's super easy, it's super fun, it's super customizable. Tanis wrote it to be where it's sort of like a blank slate, where you could do intarsia on it as well, which I think I might do one day. And you can do stripes, you can do different patternings if you want. And it's the easiest thing to sew together ever, because it is a pieced garment that you do seam. And it's so simple because there's no confusion when it comes to the decreases, because the decreases are the same on the sleeve and the body. So you don't have to, like last episode where I was talking about my Caspian sweater, that you had to be really careful about sewing it so it matches. This one you do not. The stitch count and row count are the same for everything. And yeah, it's just really, I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. Anyway, I did the same modification I did in the last one, where when I was picking up for my collar, I picked up the amount of stitches that is recommended, and then I decreased every 4th stitch. So when I started doing my 2x2 rib, I would knit 2, purl 1, and then purl 2 together, and it worked out just perfectly. Because I like the way that this collar fits better than the one that was in the pattern, but the pattern is meant to be like kind of a stand-up double folded collar, and that's just something that I changed. What else can I say about this? I knit it on 4mm needles. And oh, so the last time I showed it, I had been working on the first sleeve. I don't know if you can tell. This is not the arrangement that the first sleeve was in, because I messed up and I miscounted, because I like to have my stripes offset. I don't want them matching, because if they're matching, I might as well just knit a top-down raglan. And I literally got to the point where I was going to start doing the decreases on the sleeves when I realized with the original sleeve that I had knit that is essentially what I had done, and I would be decreasing on this color. So I had to start the whole thing again, it really slowed me down, and that's probably why I finished so many other like random things, because I was so, not upset, but it really took the wind out of my sails and I had to start again. But it's done now, which is great. And yeah, it's so fantastic. I really, really like it a lot. But yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else to say about this. It's a super great pattern. I would recommend it to anyone, even if you were just, if it was your first garment, you could absolutely do it for sure. So that's going to go into my ridiculous pile of hand knits that I've got going on. And yeah, that's the potatoes colorway. I don't have it in the shop now. I don't know when I'm going to be able to get it into the shop. I do want to. Right now is so busy, and I'm trying to like calm down. Anyway, if anyone is wondering, this is what the potatoes colorway looks like in sock form, and that's the colorway that will be in the shop on Friday, tomorrow on Friday. So those are my 2 finished objects. I have a couple works in progress. The first one is the sweater that I have sort of set to the wayside as I worked on other things, but I have got back to it now, and that is my second 1031 by Ozetta. The original one I knit for myself in the Cascade 220 and mohair held together. And this one is knit out of, I realized my last episode I had this one sitting right here that I could tell you. This one is also Cascade 220. This is the Heathers, and this is in the Shire colorway, I think. Which I don't think it says on here, but that is what it says on the website. So yeah, I'm knitting it out of the Shire, and then again, black mohair by Knitpicks. So that one is coming along nicely. I picked up the fronts and have joined those, and now I'm just knitting down until they are the same length as the back. I'm really liking how this color is coming out. I think in low lighting this will look black, which I think is fantastic. And this green is really beautiful. It's got a lot of blues and yellows in it, as green does, but like you can actually see the different stranding. But yeah, I've just been working on this. Jason and I have been rewatching Game of Thrones because we couldn't figure out what to watch besides that, so that's just what we've been doing. And yeah, I've just been using this as back and forth easy knitting, and then eventually, actually pretty soon now, it'll turn into just in the round knitting, which is great. And then, yeah, I don't think it'll take too much longer. It's 5mm needles, which I don't normally knit on, or as often anyway. And it just flies by. And also, Ozetta's patterns are divine. I love them so much. I love them so much. And she keeps releasing these beautiful, wearable, elegant looking patterns, and I do not have time to knit them all. Okay, I only have one other knitting project, and it's a little bit silly, I have to admit. Yeah. It is a baby knit pattern. It is a pattern I actually bought on Etsy years ago, and I think I forgot about it, but I was searching through, just because I buy a lot of cross stitch patterns on Etsy as well, and I was just going through what I had purchased just to like sort of consolidate and remind myself what I had. So I saw this one and I thought it was so stinking cute. And the reason I cast this on is because I have mentioned before, my sister Dana is pregnant at the moment. She was supposed to find out the gender weeks ago, and then the place that she was supposed to go to canceled her appointment. And then she was supposed to have one this Monday, and they canceled that one as well. And now she has to wait till Saturday. So I told her that, jokingly, so she already has a little boy, and in a perfect world, next she would have a little girl, so she could have one of each. And we think it's gonna be a boy again, but doesn't matter. A baby is still delightful. But I told her I was going to cast on a baby knit for a little girl, and if it was a little girl, I was going to take all the credit for it. This is a long story that doesn't need to be told, but that's okay. So I saw this pattern, I thought it was stinking cute, so I cast it on, and I'm going to put up a picture of what it's supposed to look like here, because right now I've just got the top done. I finished the top part yesterday, and this is what it looks like. And this pattern has actually been super fun to make because there's so much going on. So the way you knit it is you cast on this section here, and you knit that like into a really long strip. It's a 18 row repeat, and you increase stitches and then decrease stitches to get this leaf motif with bobbles. And then when you knit that to the length that it requires you to do, you graft the two ends together, which is kind of great because it's only 6 stitches that you start off with and end off with in this pattern. So you only have to graft 6 stitches together, which was super easy, and I actually think it turned out way better than I was even expecting myself. And then you pick up the edge stitches on this side, which is super easy. The way they have you do the edge makes it super easy to pick up these stitches, and it's really neat. And then you knit a little bit in the round, doing decreases up to the top, and then you start doing back and forth so you can get this little keyhole detail. And then you do the collar, which has a little picot edge, and then you do a sewn down, you sew it down in a way that I've never done before, which I thought was quite cool. Easy, but you have to stare at your knitting, which is a bit boring sometimes. And then I've done just a little loop. I might change that. Actually, I don't know. It works just fine, and it'll fit like 5 minutes. And I've added a little button. And so for the rest of the body now, what I have to do, oh, also then you pick up all the stitches on the other end and you do a row of purl, a row of knit, and then you bind off and purl just to neaten up that edge. And then I have to go back in and pick up in the same place where I picked up for the yoke, and you knit the body down from there, which I just think is super cool. And yeah, it's just been changing so much and it's interesting. So this is why I have a tendency to make really frilly baby clothes, for this reason entirely, because I feel like if you were doing an adult size, it would be so boring because it would be so many stitches. But yeah, I am knitting this out of some stashed yarn that I had, which is a Novita wool cotton. It's this right here. I got this a few years ago. And it is 55% merino wool and 45% cotton. So I'm at the point now in this where it could be either the 9 to 12 month size or the 12 to 24 month size, because the yoke is the same. And it's also supposed to be a romper, but I think I might maybe turn it into like a dress, just for it to be easier and less size dependent. Because I was thinking, if it is a girl, then she's due in she would be due in August. So it'd be kind of better if it were a dress, and then in the summer after, like, she's 1, she could wear it as a tunic kind of thing, if that makes any sense. I don't know yet. I'll figure it out, but I have to pick up the stitches for the body. I just think it's so cute. And it will need a good blocking, because like the lace, this is lace technically, and a frill, so it just needs to be relaxed a bit. But that is my incredibly silly cast on, and she hasn't seen it yet because she asked me what I was making. I told her it was none of her business, which she completely expected. But I have a few other things that I'm going to show you real quick, because they're sewing and cross stitch. So if you don't have any interest in that, you can see you next time. But I finished a few things that are, pardon me, jeepers, that are a little bit silly. Also for a child, this one. I feel like I've moved on really quick. Also, for anyone who is wondering, I will absolutely link all of the patterns that I've worked on, regardless of if they're knitting, cross stitch, sewing, whatever they are. I will link them in the description box, and I will label them what they are, just in case you want to go check it out yourself. But I do have another finished object that is a sewing project that is something I've had cut out on my desk for ages, and I've made this for another pseudo niece of mine, and she's 2 now, actually. She just turned 2, but I made this for her, and I'm going to make her kind of a shirt to go with it. I think it's I can't remember what the name is, but it's a knitting pattern by Along Avec Anna. And I made these. This adorable pair of overalls. And I think it's something like Easy Woven Overalls or something like that. It's on Etsy by OhMeOhMy Sewing. And she has so many cute kids designs, and these were so easy. They are one of the easiest things I've ever made. It was so simple. It's just a few pattern pieces, and it was so great. This fabric comes from Daily Like Canada, which is one of my favorite, a lot of apparel, fabric, but I've used some of their fabric for quilting as well, but they've got such a cute selection, and they design a lot of the patterns for the prints themselves. But yeah, so it's just the cutest little thing. And I also put a little tag in there. And this is my first time using plastic snaps, because I've had a Prim plastic snap little, what are they called? A plier for it, and the snaps for ages, and I've never used them, and I use them for this, and oh boy, are they ever secure. Can recommend. But yeah, this came together super easy. So what I'm going to be doing is knitting a little shirt, little t-shirt to go with it before I send it off to her. And I have sent her so many things. I am waiting for them to like tell me that she doesn't need any more handmade clothes. Sorry. But the shirt is going to be this lovely sort of, how would you describe it? Sort of like almost magenta peach, kind of. It's a cotton blend as well. So it'll be really nice for the summer for her to wear in the garden or whatever. So that is one thing I made. I also made another version that it's very small. This is the 1 to 2 year size, I think. I'm not entirely sure. But I made a smaller one, the 9 to 12 month size, or 6 to, oh, never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. But I made a smaller one in the shorts version because this comes in long and short, and I made it for some friends of my boyfriend. Just recently had a baby in January, so we went to visit them over the weekend, so I brought that, and the mother put him, the little baby, in them right away, and it was so cute. But I will put a little picture of what the actual overalls look like here. And again, those came together like from printing out the pattern and then having to like tape the pieces of pattern, like the paper together, cut out the pattern, cut out the fabric, sew the fabric together, put all the like accoutrement on it. It took me about 45 minutes, which is fantastic. Two more things. This is so, sorry. Another thing I made in the sewing realm is it's going to be a wall hanging. I haven't finished it yet, but I did a pattern that is a foundation paper piecing pattern, which is a way of sewing intricate designs where you sew it directly to paper instead of cutting out, because it would be the sort of thing where cutting out the individual pieces of fabric would be ridiculous and it would take so much time. So it's designs that are put onto paper and you sew the fabric onto the paper, and then it's usually in a bunch of pieces, and then you sew those pieces together, and it makes it so you can get intricate designs. But I made, this is, I believe it's called the Curious Owl, and it's this right here. And I am going to be adding a bit on here and then probably the top, and then doing some hand quilting with a nice backing fabric and some cotton batting. And I made this for Jackie of Woolen Oaks on Instagram because she mentioned once that she loves owls, and that's sort of a soft spot for me where people really like something, because this is not something I'd probably have in my own home because it's pretty, but it's not like a deep interest for me. But I'm gonna finish that up for hers and then make it into a wall hanging and send that off to her. I will show you when it's done, because I'd like to do some like pretty hand quilting and stuff around the edges, I think. The nice thing about a wall hanging is it doesn't have to be particularly perfect. Okay, one more thing. I do apologize for the rambling nature of this, but this is just an update. Oh. So I said last time I was trying to finish this Alphonse Mucha cross stitch, and what I've sort of ended up doing is I'm going to try to get a quarter of it done, because the last time I had 1/4 done, and this time I've got a half of it done. So I have completely finished this side completely. I did it this morning so that I could have it be done when I showed it to you again. So by my next episode, I want to have this quarter done, and then by the episode after that, I want it to be complete. That's my goal. I should have time to do it as long as I don't goof off too much. But I'm so close. So close. And yeah, I gave the information for this last time, and I will link it down below if you're interested. It's still a good time, I think. I hope. Either that or I've just gone into robot mode here and I'm just finishing it because I have to. And it's so silly because like I've done cross stitches that have more, that are bigger and have like less interesting colors. I did a design of my boyfriend standing in a field that they had, like, they do a prescribed burn to prevent forest fires and stuff. So it's just smoke and a silhouette of him. It's almost entirely in whites, grays, and blacks. Don't know why I did that, but it's bigger than that. It took me less time. Don't know why. But yes, I think that's everything for this time. I have been working on the quilt that I had last time, but I'm doing it again in pieces, and that won't be really much to show until I've finished it, because otherwise I'm just sharing not finished blocks yet. And I want to get a few more sewing projects off my to finish pile, because honestly, after those baby overalls got done so quickly and so nicely, I'm like, oh, I should just finish a bunch of stuff. Because I have so many things. I'm so good at cutting out patterns, but actually making them is where I fail a little bit. But yes, I will hopefully finish up a bunch of these things for next time and have a nice new amount of projects started, hopefully. But yeah, I will see you next time, and I hope you all have a wonderful time until then. Bye!